life's too short to be miserable. And, me personally, I refuse to sell my happiness. It's just not even, I won't even bargain with it. So there's a job that I started tonight. It was a night shift. It was something I was apprehensive about because, to be honest, I think nights pushes me. And this was a 12-hour shift. Pay was good. But yeah, I was like in two minds because like I woke up at 8 a.m. like a normal human being, a decent time. And, I hadn't had any more sleep. So starting the shift for 7 p.m., for instance, and then you finish at 7 a.m., by the time you come out of work, that's nearly 24 hours without sleep. It's a lot. So started at 7 a.m. The whole process of this was a nightmare, to be honest, from the starting to even just throughout the short period I was there. And I'll get to that. So I had issues before, like yesterday, no one met me where I was supposed to be. So I went home. I'm not waiting all day for people. Then I got a message to say 2 managers had come out and I wasn't there. I said, well, I did wait like 20 minutes. I mean, how long are you supposed to sit and wait for someone, It's like there's no indication they're coming and I could be there all bloody night. And there was no other way of knowing what you're supposed to do. Nights, there's no one to communicate with. So anyway, so they said, like I said, I can come in tomorrow then if they're definitely going to be there. So anyway, so I'm sitting there, 40 minutes it took them to come. Literally just sitting there at the reception thing, just waiting for someone to come and collect it, like meet us. In this occasion, there was someone else starting as well. He'd seemed to have had different training that I had missed out on for some reason. I don't know why. So they had hands-on training on something else. Anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into everything, the whole situations. But like, for instance, there's various stages within this company. You get a personal locker, then you get another stage where you go into another room, and that's with your protective equipment and things because they don't want to contaminate. And I went to my locker and I had all my stuff in there. I put it in there the other day, ready. So when I start my shift, it's there. Open, nothing there. And that threw a spanner in the work. So like there was a chance you weren't even going to be able to start. And I just thought I'd come all the way. Like, this is ridiculous. Like it was all there. Anyway, they gave me some spare stuff and this other guy some spare stuff as well because he didn't have anything either for some weird reason. And then they were sort of like blindsided because I realised that, I don't know what we're going to do because you haven't had the formal training yet. And it's like, well, no. But the thing is, if requirement is you do the training, don't bring people to start until you're ready to train them. It's fundamental. It makes sense. So I was seeing problems with this company at each stage, So I'm already getting alarm bells in my head, but I'm trying to see the positives. It's £16.10 an hour. In the UK, that's a good pay. So I'm thinking, you know what, let's just get on with it. It'll be a good wage every week. You just come in to get paid. That's how your head's going. I'm here to get paid. And, problem in my head, it doesn't work the same way as everybody else's. Like my life isn't just about money. If I'm going to be entirely miserable in the process, then I won't put myself through it because I just refuse to make myself that unhappy. It's like you can't, I'm not prepared to sell my happiness to buy misery. That's the way I see it. It's not going to happen. So, no one gets to just give me money and make my life miserable. Sod your money. I don't want to be that unhappy. Thank you very much. So it's little things, little things mount up and it creates a pattern and it shows the culture. So for instance, this guy they were starting with talking to him about night shifts and I ain't done it in a long time. He normally does nights. He was actually quite excited about it because he said it's a lot easier on nights. It's quiet, it's calm. And it wasn't really calm. It was quieter. There was less staff, but they were still busy. And I started speaking to some of the staff after later on, and there's quotas to reach. Effectively, this was to deal with fruit for the supermarkets. So the guy I was talking to said, like, it was someone recently, like even just a month or so ago, a couple of months ago, they passed their probation, and I can't remember how many it was. I think it was like 150 lines per hour or something. And it's something crazy. Like this is like literally boxes of fruit you have to keep lifting when you're doing the picking. And the picking process was confusing as shit. It didn't even make sense. And I'm quite good with things like that and I have a lot of experience. But I was like, this system doesn't make sense to me. Like this is a bit mad. It's not really good. So there's no need for anything to be complicated, and it just seemed more complicated than it had to be. And it reached a point where you're getting these crates of fruit, and rather than just lift the crate and put it on a pallet, you had to get it, and then you had to tip it into another empty crate and put the one that's now empty, put it in a stack because the supermarkets didn't want you sending theirs out or something. I don't really understand. It was a bit wild. I thought you're just double handling things, and it just didn't make sense. So there was little alarm bells with the process of the job. Then when I was talking to the guy and he said, yeah, there's a lot of problems, little niggly things. There's quite a few problems that slowly but surely getting ironed out, but then new problems are arising, especially with the pressure they're putting people under at the moment. So, like I said, that person that someone had passed the probation period on 150 lines or 150 pallets. I can't remember how many it was, but it's something per hour. I think it was. I don't know if it's per hour per shift. I'm sure it's per hour. And then they wanted to increase, but they've started to increase it to 320. They've literally doubled it. And people are not hitting that. Even this guy who works his ass off, I think he said he was getting about 250 or something. So the problem with companies, and I always say that, I hate KPIs. I don't like performance indications. I don't like all that shit, that pressure that comes with it. It's unrealistic. Just leave people to it. If you see people being lazy, call them up on it. But if you see them being busy, don't expect them to do more than they're doing. If they're doing stuff, they're doing stuff. Everybody has mitigating circumstances. Things are complicated. You might have an obstacle. You might have someone in the way. Anything and everything. You shouldn't have to explain it. You know, if you have to go that far with a job, sod that shit. You either trust your employees or you don't. You either respect them or you don't, you know? So I'm not going to walk into somewhere where I think it's disrespectful. Now, I'm already getting my alarm bells at this point, you know? Like, this is a bit of a mess. It's not looking very good. Then I find out recently there was a team brief and 2 members of staff, like, quit on the spot. They were like, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. And I thought, well, that's not a good sign. Now, this other guy that I'd started with, he was the one that had some little training. I hadn't had my training yet. So he was going to get put on something else. And then later on, it turned out he was sent home, literally, because he turned up to do a shift. But apparently, when he had done his training the day before, he actually failed his training. So I don't know how he thought he passed. But yes, apparently they just sent him home. And I thought that's wasting his time and everything. You know, it's so disorganized. And like I said, my team leader was under the impression that I had passed all my training because he was going to put him on a forklift. I said, you can go on a forklift. And he said, if you had the formal training here, I said, no. He said, well, I don't know what we're going to do with you because, like, you know, and he said, it's not your fault. But I said to him, a lot of other places, though, if you've got your licenses, like, you can just go on the forklift. Like, you don't always have to go through these various formal trainings. He said, that's the company policy and things. It's the way they operate. I just thought it's long-winded, you know? So that was a mess. The picking didn't make sense. And usually I'm quite quick with this shit. And even I'm like, this is just not making sense to me. So the manager calls me, even though I've only had like half an hour training here. I'm supposed to shadow this guy for 4 days. That was the plan. You shadow him, you get used to it, you can understand the whole facility and all that. I literally was in for half an hour. The other manager, the supervisor, manager, whatever he is, he's calling, and I didn't know who was calling. None of us did. It was either the forklift driver, me, or this other guy that I was shadowing. And it was me. So I've gone over to him, and he's given me a manual pallet truck, pump truck, whatever you want to call it. The other guys had motorized PPTs, and they gave me this stupid little manual one to do. And I was like, he goes, I'm going to get you to do some picking. I thought, that's going to be fun because I ain't got a clue what the fuck's going on right now. And no one's showing me shit. Like, not being funny. I haven't even given long enough to get up to speed here. But whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if whatever you want me to do, I'll just give it a go. But if it's a mess, it's your own fault because you're not giving people the time for training. But I'm not saying it because I'm just here to do, like, I'm the mule. You know, it's up to you to manage the mule. But he couldn't get that working because he couldn't log in. So then he's given me a load of, like, a stack of empty pallets to put like to take the other side of the warehouse, and when that side hasn't got enough space, take it to the yard. And I kid you not, this whole process was stupid. You could have done it a lot quicker with the electric devices, but of course, just met me all around. So I was doing it. Bear in mind, I'm tired. I've been awake since 8. It was like I've been there about 2.5 hours, but I'm getting tired. And I just thought I'm not like enough that I'm going to go sleep. But I'm getting a bit tired now. I don't know how I'm going to get to freaking 7 in the morning. I'm bored shitless. This place is a mess. At this point, I was watching, because obviously if I'm going to be using the forklift at some point, like soon, I need to know what's going on. I'm looking around at these pallets, and I kid you not, I don't like dangerous environments. I'm quite on point with things. They had pallets in the air that literally had no wrap and no banding. Now, I know I've seen things in America and other countries where it's chaos and it's acceptable. In the UK, that is not acceptable. They should either be banded or shrink wrapped, and they should definitely be. In my opinion, everything should be shrink wrapped. There's no excuse. So they've got pallets up in the air that have got nothing around them at all, and I'm thinking, well, I don't really feel comfortable touching that. And then there was another pallet that had banding around it. I'm not even sure it had banding, but it had the cardboard corner things on it with cardboard boxes of fruit, and it was leaning. And I'm like, there's no way I'm touching that shit. That was like 2 or 3 bays high. And I thought, you pick that up, there's no guarantee that ain't collapsing as soon as you lift it. Because as soon as you lift it at all, even if you try and do it gently, it's still going to cause a reaction in the steadiness, in the structure of the pallet. So it's already not straight and structured, you know. So I just thought, this is a mess. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking, I've already seen before when I had my walk around in the previously that it was a bit of a mess. Like pallets could just collapse and break. And I just thought, this is dangerous. It's boring as shit. It doesn't make sense. It's very disorganized. So I was given these empty pallets, this stack of pallets to take out. I don't know if I'm out of sync. It feels like I am. But anyway, I was given a stack of pallets to take out, but you had to go through these doors that are automated, and a couple of them kept getting jammed. So I thought, oh, for crying out loud. So you look like an idiot if you was on camera, keep walking back and forward, trying to get this thing to just notice you, because obviously it wants to know it's a forklift. And then there was this other bit like a freaking space station. You know, like when one door opens, you can't have two open at the same time. So you need one to shut down and then the other one open because it's temperature controlled. So I was told if there's no space with the pallets there, take them out to the yard. So I took them out to the yard, and then the thing would not recognise me coming back in. And there was no way to get back in apart from that door because the side door was had a keyhole. So I was like, I think I might be stuck in the yard. So I'm walking back and forward like an idiot. And I finally get into the middle bit, the internal part. And I just need to go back through the main door so then I can go back and get some more pallets. It would not recognise me at all. And I'm walking back and forward. But there was a side door. So I've gone for the side door and I'm looking for the control panel so I could just manually do it. There was no control panel anywhere for that one door. Bear in mind, I'm already getting pissed off. There's a lot of things I'm probably missing. But for me, it was disorganised. It wasn't well managed. It was dangerous. It was boring as shit. I was going to be tired. This was just, it was, there was so many things compounding upon itself that I thought, you know what? I've come here to drive a forklift and I'm walking around just moving blue pallets from one end to the warehouse to the other. And when I finish that, he's going to get me to use a pump truck to manually do the picking when everyone else has got motorized things. It's congested. It doesn't make sense. It's an incredible amount of manual lifting, especially on a night shift. Like I thought this is, and you're under pressure. And I just thought, I don't need this shit. And I can't even get this pump truck, this pallet truck out this bloody door because the thing won't recognise it. So I just left. So I just put the pump truck where I left, where around the area. I put it away safely. I just went through the side door and I just worked my way out the building and went home. I just thought I've had enough. This is a shit show. It doesn't matter how much money you wave in my face. I'm that fed up. Now, I think, look, I'm not telling people to do what I do. I'm just showing what I do. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking I could have a conversation with the manager and just say that this isn't for me. I'm going to go home. But they've sent me the other side of the warehouse. I'm not walking all the way around the bloody place looking for someone. Play Let's Find Me when I'm already fed up. Now, you could say you could wait till break time because a lot of this is what I'm trying to say is what the average person would do. Most people would wait for break time to go, or they'd wait for the end of the shift, even though they know they're not going to come back. It's no good. It's rubbish. It's a waste of time. No matter how much you pay me, this is not suitable. Especially if it being nights as well, 12-hour nights. That's a stretch. So, like I say, people will make themselves suffer. And I'm not someone that I don't make myself suffer just because of dignity or just because some people might gossip about me or maybe because it's not the right way of doing things. I couldn't give a shit. I'm not going to make myself miserable for any longer than I have to be miserable. And I was feeling miserable. And I thought, this is not the best start here. This isn't going to get any better. Effectively, they said you're going to probably do the 4 days and then you'll do training. And after 4 weeks, you'd have a review. And I thought, I don't think anyone's aware. I'm only here for like 3 days. And then I've got 3 weeks off with my daughter, for instance. And financially, I'm not going to benefit from this job until September because of the stopgap between payments because of the time with her. So it's only going to benefit me come September. When I come back, they're going to be moaning again that I'm still not trained. You're not going to be able to have a specific appraisal. You're still going to be doing the boring shit, and it's not going to make sense. And even if you do get on the forklift, it's dangerous as shit, and it's not fit for purpose. So I'm thinking, this ain't for me. I'm just going home. So I just worked my way through, left the paper in the locker, got my bag, signed out, went through the turnstiles, got in my car, went home. Now, like I say, there's other ways you could do that. You could wait till finish and then just make that decision not to return. But I can't make myself suffer through the night like that. And I can't bother to wait till break time. There's still a good couple of hours for that shit. And I'm not gallivanting around a warehouse looking for someone who's given me a shit duties to do to try to explain to them so they know. It's like, I couldn't care less if they go looking for me or not. It's like, and I don't care if people gossip about me. I don't care if people want to make assumptions as to why I'd had enough. For me, it was a culmination of things rather than one. Usually, if it's just one thing, I'll find a way to sort of like make peace with it to an extent, unless it's something huge. But for me, it was like one thing after another. And I was really apprehensive about 12-hour shifts, especially in nights. Me personally, I'd rather do a 6 a.m., 7 a.m. start, finish at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I would much rather just do that because then you've got your whole afternoon and evening to yourself and you've got the weekends free. And although you don't get consecutive days off together like you do a 4 on 4 off, to do the 4 on 4 off 12-hour shift, you actually lose so much in those days to the job that you're actually not enjoying the time off specifically because you're apprehensive about the ones to come. So me personally, I'd rather just find a way to just not be suffering all day and then have freedom after, if you've got to do that sort of work, you know. But the thing about warehousing, and I think it's a misconception really amongst a lot of people, is that although they look similar, it's pretty much every warehouse is different. Obviously, it's different management, it's working with different products, it's got different systems. So they seem the same. They can be similar in some ways, but every single one is very unique in itself. So it's okay to walk into one and it don't fit right and you leave. It's like, that's fine, because you're trying to find one where you feel comfortable. And the longer you stay in the one that's not, you lose out on the one that can. And I just think when you walk into something that you know is not ideal, and people have just recently quit Mind, and even in the training, like the induction stage and the interviews, they say every Monday we have new recruits coming in, and that don't usually sound good if you've constantly got a revolving cycle of staff. I was told a chef recently joined for the night shift, and they quit the same night as well, a bit like what I just did, because they said it's too heavy, and it's just too hard. It's too much work for what it's not worth it. And it's like, exactly, because you have options. That you don't need to be treated like that, you know. It's like, I'm not putting up with it. If you're gonna, I don't like KPIs anyway. If you're gonna start having metrics and shit, I'm not interested. I'm not a mule. And like I said, look, eventually I'd have been back on I'd have had me training for the forklift, and I'll be on that because I can drive forklift. I can operate so many different types of forklifts. I had no problems with my capabilities to operate the forklift. It was more like, I'm not touching that product because that product's dangerous. It's like, I'm not dealing with that shit. It's not well managed, and I just looked and thought, these are dangerous products, and not helpful that the fact that you actually, in some places, it's just you don't necessarily use the forklift with people around you. Now that happens some places, sometimes it doesn't. In there, it was people walking around you, like they were operating, they were lifting, and they were using their machines, and you're operating a forklift. But those pallets were dangerous. So what happens if someone's just working nearby because they weren't keeping a specific? You should at least, realistically, you should be like 2 bays away. Some companies that say you can't be in the aisle at all if a forklift's there. A lot of companies that say you've got to be 2 bays away. There was not 2 bay distance. And if a pallet collapses while you're bringing it down, that could literally kill someone. That could fall on someone's head. It's that dangerous. You know, I don't play when it's things like that. I'm not going to be responsible for someone else's injuries. So anyway, so that in itself, like when I said at the beginning there, like if it's just one thing, you can sort of make peace of it. Unless it's something huge, then it's like some things you can't play with. And for me, that was a fundamental. If me operating a forklift is going to be a dangerous experience, then I'm not going to operate the forklift. So like for me, the job was boring as shit. It was more complicated than it had to be. I think the expectations were too high. But fundamentally, when I finally get to do what I was being hired for, I didn't think it was safe. And then add that to the fact that it's going to be long shifts. I started to, it stands to reason. If you're tired at 9 p.m. and the shift finishes at 7 a.m. and once I'm on a forklift, it's a bit dangerous to be operating a forklift when you're tired anyway, I think, personally. So I don't really see how you can operate that to that level. But anyway, I don't want to digress too far. I just want to make the point that, it's up to us to chase our own happiness. And it's up to us how much of our happiness we want to sell. Now, everyone has different ideals, different morals, different expectations, different lifestyles. I don't like poverty and I don't like struggle. But there's a balance to be had, and you've got to choose. Sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. I would rather struggle and have my options open. So it doesn't mean I've given up. I'm just looking for the right role, something to just at least pay the bills and just give me a level of comfort. But yeah, I can't make myself struggle that much. I couldn't even bring myself to wait till break time, because what was the point? That's how my mind works. Like, what's the point? You're miserable now. You can suffer for a couple more hours and go at a more respectful time. Who does that serve? Or you can see the night through and then just make a decision in the morning not to go back. But then it's like, if you've already made that decision now, you might as well just go on the spot. And like I said, if I'd bumped into someone, I would have just told them why. I'd have just said, this isn't for me. I'm not sticking around. But I'm not going to go around. I weren't going to go out of my way to tell them because I couldn't be asked. I was like, I've already had enough. You can figure that out later. If you made a good work environment and it was a decent job, then you wouldn't have had the problem. Yeah. Not saying I do that all the time. You know, there was another job I left the next day, but I see the shift through because I was trying to. Sometimes I'm curious. You know, it's like if I see an issue early and I know this isn't working, then I'll make a decision quick. If I think, you know what, I don't want to be hasty, I want to give it the chance to grow, see what opportunity, see how it develops. I'll see it through for the day and then make a decision. You know, so there are obviously extenuating circumstances and things. And one problem for one person might not be the same for someone else. But what I would say, based on the way others have behaved, it seems like some people, I think there's similar issues that others are recognizing that I was recognizing early on. And I just think sometimes it's a case of if you're walking into a new environment, you're not committed to that environment. You know what I mean? It's new. You've not like already spent a considerable amount of time invested in trying to make this place better or have an impact, or you know, you're reliant upon it. I think when you're walking into something fresh, it's like I'm not committed to this. So this isn't what I expected. It's a shame because the money was good, but for me, the money on its own for anything is never enough. You know, I can't literally make myself miserable just because someone's handing me some money. That doesn't fit right with me. So anyway, that was no good to me. And here we are back continuing the search for something that actually makes me want to get up in the morning. Makes me, you know, that's what it is. We've all got responsibilities and bills, and I'm more than willing to commit to something that's actually stable, reasonable, and fair. It's safe. It's not really a lot to ask for, is it? But in today's society, most places they're not fair, they're not reasonable, and they're not necessarily safe. So what are you supposed to do? What fundamentals are you supposed to concede? Because I have a hard time conceding anything. So it's like it is what it is. But yeah, but I'll just share that little bit with someone. But anyway, like I said, I've probably missed some bits out. It's easy to forget something, isn't it? In the middle of talking. Not sure if I forgot anything or not, to be honest, but it just seemed a bit chaotic to me. It's not worth the hassle, especially when I was tired. I think when you're tired, you've got less tolerance. Certainly got less tolerance when you think this is going to be a long, long night. Actually feels never ending, and I just thought I can't be in a never ending story. I want my freedom. I felt so liberated when I was leaving. Though I thought, oh, for God's sake, I'm so happy. I didn't. You know what I mean? You know, if you made a good or bad decision in the middle of it, because you'll know if you regret it in some way. I didn't regret it at all. I always felt free as soon as I left. I thought financially, okay, life's going to be hard. It always is. But yeah, I didn't feel I was losing anything in that moment. I just felt I was gaining my freedom, and that felt bloody beautiful.